Tell me everything you know about the game.
Hey, y'all, we are back. We are back. Hey, everyone. My name is Jedi Mike 7, and I'm back with another video. I'm with my boy Jay King. And today, we're going to review the highly rated show, the surprise hit, Squid Games, y'all. That's what's up. Yes. So Squid Games is a new show that came out on Netflix, I think about a few weeks ago. And yeah, so it's a very popular show. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically a show. I forgot, and also I'm just gonna put a disclaimer. I'm going to butcher everyone's name, every actor's name here.
Same.
I don't speak
Let me
Korean,
put
and
that
I don't want
disclaimer
to be
too.
and I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to be disrespectful to these, to these actors, and also to the writers and director of this show. So yeah, but so please be patient with me. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Squid Games. So for those of you who don't know what Squid Games is, it's basically think of the Hunger Games, but for real, you know. Um, but so basically, Squid Games is this whole show setting is based in Korea, South Korea, and the whole premise of the show is that it's surrounded by these very, very poor individuals in society that are who are a lot in debt and stuff, and basically this corporation basically saying, "Hey, we'll take you into these games, and we're gonna make you play these very like childlike games, right? But the only thing that there's a prize money. You can win up to $45 million at the end. But the caveat is there's a caveat, right? It's always a catch. You good at something, never do it for free. They said, yeah. And the caveat is basically that if you get eliminated, you die. So yeah, so that makes it more interesting, right? So yeah, so let's talk about this show. Also, I'm going to talk about kind of our first impressions. This kind of be semi-spoilerish and also non-spoilerish for 10 like for it's gonna be weird. We're gonna be jumping in and out because this is a very you gotta be very patient with this show, especially if you're not very familiar with a lot of foreign films and stuff. I did not watch this film dubbed. I watched it with subtitles and stuff.
Same.
And yeah, so and just me and my dad, we kind of grew up on this for years, so I've kind of already been trained, also anime and other stuff. So I've been trained to watch this something like content like this. But yeah, so this show's about 9 episodes, I believe. And yeah, I'm also gonna go to J. King and ask about your first impressions of the show going in prior, and also what is your kind of reactions after the show, and then we can go into it.
Okay. Well, going into this, I had recently saw this over the weekend. I had heard about the popularity of Squid Games. I was hearing everybody talking about it. I thankfully did not hear any spoilers about it, but I was like, you know what? I got some time. Why don't I just watch these 9 episodes? So I binged them over 2 days. I think it was like Thursday and Friday, I believe, that I binged the show, saw all 9 episodes, and let me just say, it damn well deserves to be the number one thing in Netflix being viewed worldwide at this point. This show pulls you in, and it pulls you into the lives of these in-debt people in basically a race to survive, a race to earn the money that will come at the end, even if technically it is blood money, because over 400 people have died. Over 400 people died so that the winner could receive a handsome amount of money and be able to change their lives for the better. Or would they? That's the discussion we're about to have here.
Right. And I think this is very why I say this show kind of like for audiences here is like if it also goes to concept one just about poverty about in the society, let alone away from American society. Yes, there are Americans in this film, in this series. Surprise, surprise. That's spoilerish, but
God.
but hey, there are some governments involved in something dirty and nefarious. But hey, some of the feds are probably watching anyway. But yeah, I would say that this show that goes to concept of poverty also comes to sense of like the whole thing, the story about are you the same person with money or with no money, and what it actually means. The weight of
and how does money change you?
How does money change you? Also, when you're put in an environment of survival, Are you really a person of integrity? Is human nature, or is human nature are we naturally good people? Do we actually look out for each other? Are we just selfish beings? Some people say one or the other. Some people might probably say we're a combination of both. So I think the show very dives into that. It also questions your own ideologies as a human being about how you spend your money, your obsession of greed or money, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, not to kind of go into the show, just about certain things that highlights. One, the director of this show, and I'm gonna say shout out to him, because this director, this kind of also just a motivational thing too, because this director was denied this story. He had this story for over
Yeah.
10 years, 10 years, and he been denied by movie studio after studio after studio. Um, and over time, he originally got pitched by Netflix, and now it became the highly rated show. So this is kind of showing that never giving up, always, and looking the success that he's gotten as a director, is monumental, especially for a foreign director.
Mhm.
Very good show. Also, I gotta say the one thing that really got me, just as a I major in graphic design, and one thing I can just say is the art director of this show too. Is that the look of the aesthetic of this show is very very pleasing, and I like the way to kind of set this kind of mysterious tone, but also in some areas childlike tone, but also kind of dystopian future,
Which is
dystopian
what they're
time.
going for. Which is what
Right?
they're going for, definitely.
Right, exactly. When you're putting them in these adults in very dangerous environments, putting like in very childlike settings, right? And I just like it. Also, obviously being Netflix, there is gore, obviously in this show, and
That's an oversimplification.
especially in the first episode, you gotta be very patient because like most of the episode really doesn't hit until maybe in the last 10-15 minutes or so,
Mhm.
when I actually get the shock value of what this show is actually about,
Yeah.
in terms of the violence of how far this show will go. Now, in terms of the violence, in terms of just for anyone watching this, it's not HBO violence, but it's Netflix violence, and definitely not Amazon violence. I kind of just cover to like, yeah, there's a lot some gore in this as well. Yeah, there is some gore too, especially when scenes with the doctor and everything. Yeah,
Mhm.
and stuff. But one thing, also another highlight is the actors in
Oh,
this show.
yes.
I gotta say, commend all of them. Like I said, I'm not gonna remember these people's names, but remembering the
Nope.
number, 456001, 067, MVPs there. Some characters I do know. Abdul, I was Ali.
Yeah.
Ali, um, and his character, MVP to him, justice for him. Not a spoiler, but yeah,
But
but
yeah.
kind of going to the show. But yeah, these actors are now also just showing the show the hype of the show with the come to them canal to uh no, to the main actor here. He plays 456. He basically, the story of him is that he's basically a single father, on his own. His mom is ex. He's divorced. His child wife remarried and everything, and but he's still basically struggling trying to see his father, see his daughter, and basically trying to be a good father as he can be. But he's in the same amount of uh debt, and he's living with his mother, who's also in debt and everything like that. She's going through illnesses and stuff, and just kind of going
Mhm.
to very, very show to talk about perspective of his character, because his character, even though he's the protagonist that we're following, he's also a very flawed character. There's
Oh,
also been
yeah.
arguments about him during the show about is he actually a good father, especially to points of his character where he actually could be put in position, to be a good father. Would he take it? And with the actions that he take. So it just kind of goes into that all these characters are flawed, not cookie cutter. Some of them are, and some of them are not. But yeah, I think more these characters are more complex and written. But yeah, other MVPs of the show, which we're gonna get into, but 067, right? MVP to this woman right here, right? She's a model,
Mhm.
by the way. I had
Yeah,
no clue
but
about this.
before this is her first acting gig. Before this, she was just a model, starting at the age of 16, I believe. A model, of course, in Korea. She even came to America for a bit to do some stuff before the pandemic. And then again, this is her first acting gig, and obviously, this will not be the last acting gig she gets because she has become internationally famous for on this show, on her Instagram, and also for that modeling gig.
Yeah,
Again,
and plus,
I've not seen the internet fall in love with a woman so fast until she came along.
And she is now, as of now, she's recorded as the highest followed person, a Korean actress followed on Instagram.
Instagram,
She's at
yeah.
18 million. I think she's exceeding now. I think she might be at 20. We don't know. Um,
I'm
yeah,
one of
but
those followers.
yeah, yeah, because yeah, it's just like it's remarkable. But yeah,
Mhm.
but also like one thing that I've been doing research about after the show, watching the interviews of these actors and stuff, and finding that for her, and that during between takes, she had moments where she would cry because she thought her acting was bad, right? And then the cast would like comfort her and everything like that. But she did an amazing job, especially a lot of face
Mhm.
acting, even though as a model, like too, like she very depicted in a lot of scenes, conveying emotion, especially to the other actress here, 240. There's one scene here in episode 4, I think 5 or 4.
Mhm.
I think it's 5. Or
I think it might be 5. I think it might be
5.
5.
Yeah, very,
Yeah. But
very
going on to what
powerful.
you said, but going on to what you said about her thinking that her acting wasn't good. No, her acting was very well, which was why I was surprised. Like after seeing it and seeing interviews she was in, completely different than our character is. And as you said, her facial expressions. Like a lot of people think that acting is just in the voice or in your tone. It's
Mhm.
also in your face. You could tell a whole story with your expression. It's called acting with your fucking face. Okay, you could tell a whole story without having to say a fucking word. Okay, and she expressed that in many of her scenes. All right, she did good vocally and in expression.
Right, and only that is also like this is not to give anything away or her character, but also like she's old. She has a little brother who like they're both like foster kids and stuff, but now their parents are away, and she's trying, and then she's in debt as well, trying to take her brother out of the shelter and everything like that. And it's kind of this conveying this theme throughout the games of like, what life do they have outside the games, and what would happen if their lives if they change it to get this money. And some people
Mhm.
there, they know they're wasting their lives. Some of them actually are bad people who actually got themselves in situations for them to be in that, and they are driven by money and greed to the point to get themselves in situations. Uh,
Which we will talk.
but
Which we will talk about one of those dickheads in a minute.
right, other eventually, and but yeah, but also kind of like it's also like I said, dude, there's one scene, not to give anything away, like episode 5, I believe. Is that very powerful scene that everybody on the internet you watch were crying in tears, and this actually really moved me too, especially if we get into other actors too.
Mhm.
Also, I want to shout out to the writers, just also talking about some of the whole organization as a whole.
Oh
Is not saying that
yeah,
you've seen you've seen layers upon layers of factions in terms of stories that we're following. We're following the stories of the contestants in the game, but we're also following some of the employees too. There's one officer who's actually an undercover cop, actually infiltrate this organization and disguise themselves as one of these workers, and it's
yeah.
also showing these,
In order
order
to
to find
find out what happened to his brother,
his
who
brother.
spoiler we find out is the character called. This is the front man speaking. Basically.
Right, he's one of the main characters, right, and the guy running the organization. But you find out later.
Mhm.
But kind of also showing the different class systems, like for example, the squares, the highest, circles, low, I think, and then no triangles, and then circles, right? I believe,
Yeah.
or I might get one of those mixed up. I know the square is the
I
highest.
yeah. Yeah.
She had
Square is the
19.
highest.
She's at 19 million, 19.1. Yeah, she's almost there.
Yeah.
And she started out with 400,000 followers on Instagram prior to the show. So, but it's also kind of showing that they also got their own story as well too, and they go against the narrative. And they try to flip terms of our expectations on this axis. They got their own plot and what they want to do as not just the undercover cop, but also the workers as well, and infiltrating the games as well. And I just
Mhm.
also showed that the amount of motion with each of these games, how that even though the games are very childlike, how the stakes and the expectations are raised to a point as a viewer that you have moments of anxiety in terms of games they play here, but they also are based
Mhm.
in old Korean games like this one here when they have to take outline basically a shape in like a sugar cookie, and and saying
This
if it
one.
breaks you die. Um, but yeah,
This one, like, was one of the most freaking like, again, like, some of them were able to get through by obviously cheating. Some of them one of them had a lighter and was basically able to outline that. Some were able to get through it because they had easy stuff, and then you had some, like our main character here, who found out, "Hey, the back is actually sensitive. I can lick this and make it a little easier on myself." But again, this looks like one of the most difficult fucking things in the world. I don't even know if I'd be able to. I think
Because
I'd fuck
they all
up and
got
get
different
shot.
shapes. Like some got triangles, circles, squares, but he got the umbrella, which is one of the hardest ones.
Yeah.
But he makes it. But it just kind of showing that dilemma of just like the tension that they felt as an audience member watching this. But like I said, also gotta give it to him to like this, like it's again the set design, especially this doll right here. Um, you know, wait, yeah, I have it right here. Yeah, you hear that? You're toast. You know, you're screwed, right? And I
Mhm.
just gotta say, yeah, what they did here was very, there's a lot of memes now on social media. You have not, if you have not seen the show, you definitely seen the memes.
You have at least seen this doll around. You have at least seen this doll around and heard that beat. Heard people make trap music off this girl singing to the sounds of people dying. You have heard this shit somewhere,
Right, exactly.
or you've seen these masked faces somewhere, thinking it's PlayStation or something.
Right. And I gotta say, like again, shout out to this director here, because in also this process, because they made this show also doing like during COVID and everything. But this was just
Mhm.
the way that they kind of designed things is like also kind of showing the way this the set designs how like for example one of the scenes here where they with the contestants where they sleep is that I remember the art director talked about how she wanted to design in a way that it's almost like in a ladder, how like people kind of climbing up the corporate ladder or like or in higher class systems. It's just how like they wanted to like to uh visually represent that in terms of the stakes of where these characters are in their lives and stuff like that. But in a setting like this, and making it and also give them all these track suits which I have ordered. No spoiler alert, I've got my Halloween costume. I am this character. Yeah, 456. And But yeah, man, this is I gotta say commend them to what they have done in terms of what the storyline they conducted. Now, going to also some theories of what might be happening. Obviously, this show is going to get a season two, which it being the most highest rated show is definitely probably going to get a season two. And I'd be
Yeah, like, but before he's like, oh, we're not getting season two. But after the popularity of this, season two is basically being demand at this point. People want more, especially with the fact that he left a few things unresolved. We don't know, like, spoiler alert, at the end, our main character wins the money. A year later, he finally decides to use it for something. He's about to go see his daughter who left to the US, but then he sees that the games are still going on, even though the old man 001, who, spoiler alert, also was the mastermind behind the whole thing, is he died a couple weeks before he was about to leave. The games are still going on, obviously meaning that the front man has now become the higher man or something like that, or there was someone else, who knows. And
Mhm.
also, again, the games are still going on, and plus we don't know what happened to the cop. We see him get shot, but they've shown when a character dies on this scene. Like, they didn't show Ollie's death on screen, but we saw his body in the next episode. So the fact we have not seen the body of this cop means that he most definitely could have survived, you
Especially
know
when you fall to to a cliff top when there's a river at the end. You're basically surviving unless you didn't get a fatal shot. We've seen this in Arrow. We've seen this in a lot of shows. Like you
uh-huh.
get stabbed in the heart and you fall into some ice or some water, you'd be all right. Hell, the dude, hell, Storm Shadow, the dude, the motherfucker who shot him, he got stabbed and he got stabbed in Rise of Cobra, and he survived for GI Joe Retaliation. So yeah, so he
Yeah.
he came back. You know,
like
so
like
yeah,
like you get stabbed. As long as you fall down into some water, you have a high chance of surviving. You might come back. You might come back, even though the odds seem impossible.
right. But also, like yeah, I said, there's an MVP on these actors like Ozzy Ali, who also represents terms of the point of like a character who's just genuinely just good,
Hmm.
character, but also showing people that do nice guys finish last, in that whole point of view,
Right?
and
Because,
also
like,
like
again, because again, like he just showed up at him. Basically showed up in the first episode, saving our main character's life. He was about to fucking fail, and then he caught this man. He had the strength of a bison and kept this man up, and they both
Mhm.
survived at the end. He immediately was an MVP for me the minute he did that. I'm like that dude's a ride or die, and he didn't deserve to die.
And
Like
really, the
look,
only actor
we had justice for Han. We need justice for Ali right now.
Ali, right? And
Let
because
this
also
man show up.
he was also a father, who also just had a newborn child and everything.
Uh-huh.
He was a worker, and also to show the real world implications of, like, for example, in his character, that when he was a factory worker, and he trying to leave to get out of the country. But the thing that these factory workers, this is actually a real thing these third countries
Mhm.
do. They basically they take your passport, right, so that you won't leave, and basically try to get the implication like, oh, they're gonna pay you back, but they're really just trying to keep you dangling around. But even though there's some narrative choices here that still doesn't make any sense, like for example, like, if he got the money and left with his family, like, yeah, he lost his passport, but he goes to the embassy. They would have gotten a record that he entered the country, so he can just say, "Hey, I
Right.
lost my passport." But I think at the moment of him having high anxiety and rushing, like, "Hey, I need that money to help my family," or anything like that, and so I just think in that moment of high pressure, especially when he just injured his boss and stuff, uh, yeah, I think in that stakes, it's just like I don't blame him for him panicking, right? But
Yeah.
also you have other characters who basically run, fraud, and stuff like that, and leads to them being in debt, and them being, almost put in a position to be a token character, but actually being not really a mastermind, but being kind of a selfish person. And then you also have people who are part of actual nefarious, crime, that actually get themselves in a situation, and they try to, be a villain, in terms in the games as well, try to, corrupt other people as well. Uh, Even with another thing, the character, what's her name, 067, the one on the top right, character who doesn't trust people, but learning to trust people throughout the games and stuff, and learning, the ability that you can trust people, not, not being, you're not really truly alone, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, it just, I gotta say, to the show, what they do, layers upon layers of like character development in a 9 episode stand. 'Cause it was supposed to be a movie, and when they tried to change it to a series, I obviously gave more opportunity to explore these characters more. But the question I have proposed is that for season two, what they do, because I was reading some theories about this, because the main thing that people really don't want them to do, they don't want to, make an American version of this. Which
Mhm.
I don't really want to see that either. However, I do believe there are going to be some main like more popular actors that are going to be showing up in season two. Now, hints of the popularity of the show. But my thing
Mhm.
is, would that do itself a disservice? Because what they did with this show, is this first season, where they have more unknown actors, and then we are able to be brought to more foreign actors, and especially Asian actors in the last past year, that we got in Shang-Chi, and we got in this show, that actually bring more actors of from the Asian community, being more in terms of popular American audience, and not, being very limited as it was in the past, 10, 15 years, right? So, and these
Yeah.
are to be more marketable actors, and also these foreign films. So my question is, do you want them to stay in the vein of having more unknown actors in season two? And if so, if not, I'm saying, who would you think probably would rush to go, be part of season two?
Okay, well, let me answer that question. So, what I think they should do for season two, I think definitely they will have another Squid Games going on. What I would like for them to do is for it to kind of be separated into like two separate stories, where the first story is a brand new group of characters, similar in depth and everything like that, and they get to go through the new Squid Games while it being controlled by the front man, or let's say if there's another person in play besides the old man, whoever that is. But the other half of that story be our main character trying to stop these games. Maybe he finds a way to get onto the island and runs into the detective. Or another theory that I had, what if they decided to bring in a new character for these guys? Like, because again, as they've shown, there have been multiple Squid Games over the last couple years. You don't think there's one person that noticed that maybe their mother or father had disappeared and never came back without a trace, especially in death? What I would like for them to do is maybe He gets onto the island, but he almost gets captured until he's saved by the kid of someone who lost their parents in a previous Squid Game, who's there to like bring down this organization. And then him, the detective, and them work together to try and get on the inside. Maybe they even do what he did before and like, pose themselves as the pink suited minion dudes or whatever, and try
Right,
and sneak
right.
in to try and take this thing down from the inside. While we also follow the story of these brand new characters, and they're trying to stop this so that way no one else has to die, and maybe like the finale be a retaliation against the game or something like that. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I definitely like that.
yeah. 'Cause my hope for season two is like really, it's like one, now hopefully the director can get all the budget he can get. You are the new Christopher Nolan of the
Yeah,
Netflix
yeah.
store. You know, you can make anything you want at this point. And
Hmm.
this is just beat Stranger Things, beat The Witcher. That too, these highly rated, more popular IP brands on Netflix and stuff, and this just came out of left field, and I am happy for this that we get stuff like this because I'm gonna be real with you. In the last 6 months, um, Netflix has been getting their ass kicked by Disney Plus.
Oh
So
yeah.
I from all the new Marvel shows that's been coming out. And I just gotta say, commending them is like, hey, remind you, put some respect in there. We're still Netflix, even though Disney, shout to them bringing their brand and what they're doing with the Disney Plus shows. But I'm glad that we're having this new narrative of storytelling in the streaming platform, even though it is kind of getting more uh I don't say diluted. It's basically getting oversaturated, and to a point where we're getting Apple TV, we're getting Amazon, we're getting HBO Max, we're getting Hulu and all this stuff. Like we have all this stuff, these shows,
Every company is like, let's make a
Paramount
streaming
Plus,
let's just make a new streaming app and just put the word plus on it
Plus
or
on it.
something.
Yeah, Paramount Plus, all this stuff like they're doing. But at least it hoped to me that it heading in the good direction where it's like, listen, my main focus for them is pushing out, quality instead of quantity. And
Mhm.
I feel like what they did with Netflix, which I'm gonna commend you. I'm gonna say Netflix that over the years they've actually done the flip side where they just push out quantity and not really more quality shows, and it's kind of more filibusters. Like, hey, I can watch whoever I want, but not really high, rated and critically acclaimed shows and stuff or movies that they put on Netflix, right?
Mhm.
But this is obviously knock out of the park. Like I said, I commend the actors that were involved in this, and I really cannot wait to like what they do with this story, and I hope to see more, not just with Squid Game, but more foreign films or series to have this outlet to like to share stories and stuff like this, and then and also give me a side of just society, not just American society, but just human society in general, how we interact with each other, how we engage with each other, our morals, our values, and how does it change with corruption of when life circumstances hit us, and how each of us are going to react differently in terms of how we combat that circumstance. Do we stay core to our morals and values, or basically, or do our morals and values get challenged, and then to the point we become a different person? And I like I said, this show is very a lot of messages in this show, even Korean. And I encourage you guys to stay. Don't to me. I encourage you guys not to watch this show dubbed. Um,
Don't, it
yeah,
does
I
not
mean,
sound good.
not
It
sound
does
good at
not
all,
sound
in my
good.
opinion. Yeah, I just don't encourage that for y'all. I just like I wish you guys like um, yeah, no, hear it from the actor's voice, even in their own languages. Is just like it's just another way of acting. Because I'm telling you, you watch a dub, it's gonna take you out and kind of negate a bunch of emotion. That these actors that they I commend them for portraying. But yeah, guys, this has been a review of Squid Games on Netflix. Make sure you guys check it out. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. If you like the show, have you seen the show? I know it's been highly rated, and some people say, "Oh, I still have not watched Squid Games," but let me know what you guys think. I'm Jedi Mike 7. You can follow me on Instagram and on YouTube at Jedi Mike 7. Also, I'll put Jake King's contact information or his Instagram on the description box below. But till next time, guys, I'm Jedi Mike 7. This is Jake King. We'll see you next time. Peace.